you off guard. Oh, pardon me. Oh dear. There we go. So yeah, I thought I'd already started walking. And I thought, shall I do a live stream? Shall I not do one? Shall I do a surprise one? And I thought, why not? So here we are today with a surprise Sunday live stream. Surprise. Yeah, good morning, Cathlo G. Good morning to you. So yeah, surprise Sunday live stream. Good morning, one and all. Like I say, hit the share button, share it with people, get more people in. Let's have a nice Sunday stroll. Oh, that's what I should have called it. Oh, damn. That's what I should have called the stream instead of the Sunday morning walk. I should have called it the Sunday stroll. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Next time when I fancy just randomly live streaming, maybe we can do it then. Oh, but yes, good morning, one and all. Welcome to our little surprise live stream. Like I say, I have got nothing sort of planned for today, so I don't know what we're really going to talk about. But if you've got any topics you want me to talk about, let me know. Good morning, Pretty Bird. Good morning to you. Like I say, I think one of the topics I think we discussed yesterday, the Canadian hairdresser. Oh boy, if that turns out to be true, oof. That's really going to ruffle some feathers if that turns out to be true. Because at the moment, it's still very, very much at the rumour stage. Oh, Igor, good morning to you. Yeah, it's still very, very much at the rumour stage. Oh, Kirsten, good morning all. Tour de France is coming by your house. Well, give them a wave as they go past. You almost suggested the Canadian hairdresser. Yeah. This is it. If the Canadian hairdresser turns out to be true, that could be it. Didn't Boris also knock up a cleaner? I don't know. I don't know about that one, but I know the Canadian hairdresser one that has been going around for quite some time. So for those of you, because someone's just asked what's the Canadian hairdresser, so let's state this. This is a rumor. Oh, Fox, good morning to you. Good morning to everyone else joining us. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Nicole Schmidt, hello to you. Good morning. So the rumor is that Boris had a Canadian hairdresser, and we don't know exactly when this took place. This is one of the key things. It's also one of the things that stops me thinking that this might or may not be true, because the dates when this took place could be very, very explosive depending whenever this, again, alleged affair took place. We've got no name for this Canadian hairdresser yet, which is also another thing to add to it. But the fact that this has been, shall we say, been spread around so much leads me to believe that this may or may not be true. I think this could go 50-50 either way. Like I say, if it is true, then we'll probably find out pretty quickly whether it's true or not. But the rumour goes is that Boris Johnson had a Canadian hairdresser. They had an affair. She got pregnant, and essentially to hide all this, he shipped her off back to Canada. And that is basically the rumor. So apart from that, we don't know whether, again, how true this is or not. We just don't know. But like I say, it is at this point a rumor, and very much an alleged rumor. But it is been doing the rounds, certainly the past couple of days. So whether this is true or not, we don't know. Is that why his hair's so unkempt? Yeah. That's because he got rid of his hairdresser. That's why. Wouldn't be the first time Boris Johnson couldn't keep his Johnson in check. Very true. It may or may not be true, but it's certainly true to form. This is why I think that it's got legs, because, or at least there may be some merit to it, because I don't think it's the first time like Johnson has done this, from what I remember. Up, Jay. Hey there from Dublin. Good morning to you. Ponies, where are the ponies? There were cows earlier on, but no ponies so far yet. Don't worry, we'll keep an eye out for them, because we missed them yesterday. Given Bojo's track record, he's ripe for such a scandal. That's very true. Is the thinking that he was bonking the hairdresser while he was married to Carrie? That's it. Not only was he, quote, at the time married to Carrie, but he was probably, this is what we need to know about the timeline, because no one's said when the timeline is of when this apparently happened. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. I know someone else mentioned earlier on today, well, just a few moments ago in chat, about the Mail on Sunday. Apparently he's gone really hard on Boris. So that'll be an interesting read. But the other one I want to read, or at least do a video on today, which I'm planning on doing, is I want to do the you may have seen me post it recently in the YouTube comments and timeline, the whole thing that Nigel Farage is like supporting PR. Because I'm just infinitely fascinated by like why Nigel Farage would like support PR. Obviously for the obvious reasons that, you know, maybe he could finally get into Parliament, of course, with PR. But it is one of those things where we've talked about this before, that the right also in this country acknowledges that people have a real growing desire for electoral reform. And I've said we cannot let the right be the driver of that reform, because as we've seen, the right will happily rig any electoral reform in their favor. So that is one thing where, you know, you have Nigel Farage, you know, stepping up and supporting, saying, you know, I want PR proportional representation for the UK. And you have to go, well, this is one thing that we agree on, that proportional representation would be good for the UK. But one thing that I've been saying for a while now, the PR campaign needs to move from like what it currently is of, hey, PR would be really good for, the UK, to this is what PR is, this is our aims, and this is the specific type of PR we want, and start really looking at answering the questions that people already have. Because people are already trying to deploy arguments against PR already. The big one, of course, obviously being that, if we go to, proportional representation, you'll lose your MP. Well, that's not true at all. Under PR, as I'm sure there are the various people here in chat that can tell us, because I know we've got some people from Ireland in chat, so I'm pretty sure they could tell us that they've got like MPs, and or at least the type of like MPs and like representatives of their area, that they have. So that is sort of the key argument that I'm seeing so far of, oh no, we can't go to PR because we'd lose our, people would lose their, their MP. And I'm like, no, they don't have to lose their MP. Don't be ridiculous. Because I'm pretty sure out there are examples of other countries having PR, or at least proportional representation, and having that, that representation and that link to their like constituents. And there's even some types of PR where you could have more than one, representative. So, yeah, but what has your MP done lately? That's very true. Or the real question is, who's your MP? I am very confident I could walk out into Barnsley town centre and basically say, oh, hey. Oh, ponies in the distance. Very true. I could walk out into Barnsley town centre and go, oh, who's your MP? I could go out into any town centre, city centre, and ask people who their MP is, and a good number of them wouldn't be able to tell you who their MP is. There's also lots of evidence to show and suggest that, people don't turn up to like MP surgeries or get in contact with their MP as much as they sort of did, that this is something that's in decline. So even if they did or were worried about that aspect, there's all this evidence to suggest that people really don't care anymore about having a sort of local MP. But under these sort of systems, you can have, representatives of that particular area or, that town. So this is where, as we discussed earlier, this is where we need to start discussing, or at least the PR movement now needs to shift from sort of awareness campaigns of, hey, PR would be good for the UK, to PR would be good for the UK, and this is how we intend to do it. because it's all right having a campaign to push for that. Oh, Ben Raddings, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your super chat there. Thank you. So it's all right to have, you know, that type of campaign, that awareness campaign, but you need to move on to like educating more about it, about what it is PR will do and how it will change Westminster, as Nicole's just said there. But the other thing I always say is the PR campaigners don't need to just focus on Westminster, because if you look at polling for like reform at either Westminster or the House of Lords, reform polling for the House of Lords is far, far higher than it is for not only like the House of Commons, but it also gets mass cross-party support. So there is a huge advantage in maybe we don't go after the House of Commons first. Maybe we go after the House of Lords first. Get that to be what I've described before as like the regional House of Representatives, where it's all, again, you split the UK up into sort of regions. You go, each region has like, again, it probably won't be, but each region has like 10 representatives it can elect, and how many representatives of each party is, again, based on the amount of votes that people put in. So I'd be very, very up for that if, you know, if we could get that. Oh. Well, for those of you who wanted ponies, ta-da! You can see the the old foal having a good rub in the background. You can see him. Yeah, it's the pony gauntlets. But yeah, that's where we need to go to. From, hey, we need PR, to, okay, this is not only we need PR, this is why we need PR. And sort of really starting to tell people he's having a good scratch. Oh. All right, there's your ponies for today. So one of Cathology. Please help save the Nevian A&E, the only in the country. I'm not sure what that is, Cathology, but oh. But yeah, yeah, send me some information if you want about that. I'll have a look into it, and yeah, I'm more than willing to help out if I can, even if it's I just do a video on it. So I should take apples. I've said before, I don't want to feed them because, oh, it's the emergency department. All right, they're closing the emergency department. All right, okay, right, okay, I understand now. So yeah, if you are, again, over there in Ireland, like I say, please do be aware that, you know, when you close an emergency department, that will have consequences on, of course, healthcare in your area. Almost ultimately, when that type of thing closed down, we've seen that very recently, actually, in seen that very recently in Huddersfield. There was an attempt to obviously close and the A&E section down there. So, there we go. There we go. Right. So yeah, it does have a big effect when, like, you know, things like that close down, because it's kind of important to have, you know, an A&E function. And I think Neve's quite a rural area. You know, not that I know Ireland all that too well. But like I say, I was out in Belgium a couple of weeks ago, and I did meet a couple of the Irish delegation from Cork and Dublin. So probably next year, when I'm the UK's president, I will hopefully, I do want to get over to their national conference and sort of have a party with them. So yeah, when it comes to sort of PR, I think someone said it earlier. You know, what form of PR does Farage want? And I don't know, but it's well worth having a look at that article. I'm certainly going to end up trying to cover that today, but it means I've got to subscribe to the Tory Graph. Luckily, you get a month free, so I will subscribe to it, then unsubscribe to it as quickly as possible, because I don't want to give them, to be honest, any of my money. But it is very well worth knowing what type of PR he actually wants, and sort of knowing sort of the ins and outs of what he wants, because, as we said earlier, it's important that the left gets involved in this push for PR, and we don't just leave it to the right, because if the right do it, there is a big chance they will just, shall we say, get a system and rig it in their favour. We saw this back in 2012, where we had the push for AV, or the alternative vote system, which basically was like the first past the post system of you know, proportional representation. And that's why a lot of people didn't really get involved in it, because they wanted, well, I particularly want, if we do go to PR, I'd like the STV, or the single transferable vote, meaning that no matter what, your vote always counts. So you could vote for maybe like a third party candidate, and then obviously if they don't get enough, you know, your vote doesn't get wasted. You can then maybe move it on to, I don't know, one of like the big parties like Labour or the Lib Dems or whatever. So your vote never gets wasted in that way. So that would almost definitely be something that we could do. Better not include directly achievable mandates for MPs. This is why the German Bundestag keeps growing. You wouldn't fit all the MPs inside Westminster. Oh, you just noticed you have a new icon thingy. That's not the new icon thingy. Those will be coming in a couple of months. Like I say, if you are subscribed to the channel in that way, Chthonic, like you are, I am getting a huge brand rebrand, which I think you've seen because I've posted it out to the members. If you're subscribed to me on Patreon, if you're helping me out on Patreon as well, I posted it there as well. So you get to see all the new badges and emojis and certainly the new redesign that's coming. So look forward to that when that happens. So they're not ready yet, but they will be ready soon. So I'm sort of really looking forward to it when we get this big new redesign done. So I think that all the new stuff, all the new logos and stuff do look really, really cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yes, we are halfway around, so if you would like to actually help support the channel, please do remember to hit that like button and of course the share button as well. So share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it in your Discord channels. And of course down below there are links to my Patreon page and my one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And of course there is the YouTube subscription button where you click that and you get, as you can see from Chthonic and Cathal OG, they have like little badges and whatnot. You can get those next to your name. You can also get unique emojis to the channel and whatnot. And like I say, there's a big redesign and stuff coming for that as well. So look forward to that. So yeah, yeah, you always hit that like button. Thank you very much, Bridgeton. So, like I say, even if all you do is just hit that like or share button, every little bit helps. So, we've got, I think, certainly an interesting time this week. I'll tell you what we'll talk about, because I haven't had a chance to talk about it. Did anyone see the select committee that Liz Truss was on? Oh my word. And she wants to be leader of the Conservative Party. And what's even more dangerous is she could very, very easily be leader of the Conservative Party. Igor, you have to go from special demand from your Labrador. Well, good luck. So yeah, this was absolutely insane. If you got to see it live. I tuned into it very briefly, and I got to see some of the, shall we say, highlights. One in particular that's worth watching is the fact where Liz Truss brings up the fact that she's discussed all these quote human rights issues with partners, and I think it was Chris Brandt turns around and goes, okay, what human rights issues have you discussed with these partners? He goes, oh, well, I've discussed, Saudi Arabia, blah, 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 and starts listing off all these countries. And then he just goes, no, can you name one example of like one of the things you've discussed? She can't even name it. Oh, but yeah, it's one of these bizarre moments where she could very well easily be the next leader of the Conservative Party, because as we've discussed before, I don't know how she's done it. It's very, very reminiscent of Boris Johnson. He was super popular in the Conservative Party when he was with his, foreign secretary job, or as his MP role. He was sort of, very popular. But actually, when he's been given the top job, actually, no, he's not that good. He's really not that good at all. This is going to be something very, very similar for Liz Truss, because she's proven time and time again she cannot handle these top jobs. She can't handle the pressure. She talks a good game. She puts out a very immaculate social media presence. And as someone who works in marketing, sort of, I can appreciate, I can respect someone that has got a good social media game. But of course, it's not her. She probably pays like a PR company or something else to do it for her. She's not doing that by herself. She's paying someone to do it for her. So that could be interesting if we ever have, Prime Minister Liz Truss. Oh yeah, the other thing that's probably worth discussing as well. Last night you had on Twitter Beergate trending because it turned out that the right-wing mob last night was trying to convince people that Starmer had already been fined for Beergate when he hasn't. Durham police are expected to report sometime this week on whether or not Keir Starmer has been fined. So that could be fun, because as we've warned about before, Boris Johnson wants an early election, and he could choose next week, in conjunction with, Keir Starmer getting one of these fines, he could go out and say, oh yeah, look, we're having an early election, guys, while Labour is having to spend, time for a leadership contest. And the thing is, at that point, we would not have time for a leadership contest. That's the nightmare scenario, because Keir Starmer's got two choices. Does he keep to his guns and resign, which I think he's going to have to? I don't think he can sort of not resign. But if he does, and at the same time Boris goes, you know what, we're going to have an early general election to take advantage of the chaos in Labour, as they're trying to have elect a new leader. It could go awfully, horribly wrong if that happens. It's really, really hard to think, how can we do this? And how could we fight a potential general election or an upcoming general election where we have got to have a leadership election at the same time? if Keir Starmer does get a fine this week and he does resign, and that scenario happens of both him and Angela Rayner resign from their positions, then this puts Labour into a really, really dangerous position. And I think there has to be an agreement that we need to elect someone who has brand recognition and is willing to take it to Boris. And I think Ed Miliband, you know what, I think we put Ed Miliband back in, because I'll tell you what, he has been doing a fantastic job in the past couple of months, and Labour think there's going to be an early election. Even my local council thinks there could be an early election. But of course, if we get that scenario where Starmer gets a fine and he resigns, which he's already pledged to, of course, if he doesn't, keep to his guns, it hugely damages, obviously, the reputation of the Labour Party and his, etc. But if he doesn't go, resigns, well, that puts even more pressure on Boris Johnson to actually go. So there is a sort of danger moment we are entering into. Because if Starmer does get fined, we need to get a leader pretty sharpish. Could Angela Rayner not take over in the interim? No, Angela Rayner and Keir Starmer are also up for this, for these fines, and she's pledged that if she gets a fine, she'll resign as well. So it entirely depends on what happens with her. I mean, it becomes very, very, very sort of an interesting game. If she doesn't get a fine, I'd be fine with her taking over, certainly in the interim. But then you would need a leadership contest. She would probably stand herself for yeah, dangerous moment we're entering into as a train passes by. So yeah, it becomes a very, very dangerous moment for Labour. It really, really does. Angela Rayner would definitely make a good leader, no doubt, but it entirely depends on whether she gets fined or not, because she's signed up to the same pledge as Starmer. And even if she runs the leadership contest, it's not a good look for her if she comes up against Boris, because Boris can turn around and say, well, you pledged to resign and now you're leader of the Labour Party. It's not good optics at all. It's not good optics at all. Of course, we could always try. Maybe to try and parachute in Andy Burnham. But it's, where would you parachute him into? And how would you sort of go about doing that? Because you'd have to win a general election going pretty quickly as well. So we have to see, of course, what happens here. This week was almost certainly interesting. We are probably going to get news about that fine in the next couple of weeks. Well, not the next couple of weeks. next week to what we're hearing. So yeah, we're just going to have to wait. Fine like this can be challenged in court before it can be deemed legal. It depends if that's a good look or not, because Starmer could challenge it. You are right. Yeah, they're just lying down. Yeah, because if Starmer doesn't, if Starmer challenges it, it's how do the optics look on it? And Cathology is right. It is an optics question. Because Boris can instantly turn around and he can start using the rhetoric of, well, it's one rule for, one rule for us, one rule for them. And Boris can then start playing that equivalency game, just going, oh yeah, see, we're all just the same, we're all just as bad as each other. So it does come down to optics. It really, really does. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me on this very impromptu good morning walk today. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. I know I have. Please again do watch out for more videos coming out this week. Like I say, if you would like to help support the channel, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. There's also the YouTube subscription button, where if you join that, you get all sorts of badges, bells, and whistles and whatnot. There's also, I think, the YouTube thank you button. I don't know if it's down there on live streams or not. It certainly will be after available. Thank you very much, Mitch. Always a pleasure indeed. So, like I say, even if you just press the like and share button on your way out, that would be very much appreciated. And as always, thank you very much for joining me today. Look out for more videos coming out this week. And of course, we'll see you not later on, but we'll see you very soon for another Good Morning Walk.